Today in Review This Thing, we're going to review this thing, the Glock 19. As promised, we're going to continue our series of in-depth reviews on the pistols we used for the best 9mm for the female shooter video. Last week, we showed you the review of the Taurus G3C Toro, as well as the Taurus GX4 and GX4 Toro. So if you didn't get a chance to watch those after you finish this video, check those out. And then later this week, we're going to have the Glock 43X review, so you're not going to want to miss that. But today, we're going to talk about the very popular Glock 19. When we were researching the guns we wanted to use in our test, over and over again, the Glock 19 popped up as one of the most popular and the most widely used, so we knew we wanted to get our hands on one of these. This is actually the Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. We've had the Glock 19 for several months, we've shot it a ton, we've had several other people shoot it, gotten a lot of opinions about what people think, and I think we're ready to tell you what we think. As I told you in our other videos, we are far from handgun experts, so there are probably things that may be left out in this video that you may think is important, but we're just going to tell you what we think from your regular, everyday, run-of-the-mill shooter's opinion. So, let's review this thing. As always on Review This Thing, we cover the facts. The first part is fit. So what I want to do is I'm going to tell you some specifics about the gun and then how it fits me. Robbie's going to put his opinion in about what he thinks about how it fits, and then hopefully all that information will help you decide if it might fit you. Now, I say this in every video, and you're going to hear it over and over again. You're not going to know how a gun's going to fit you until you actually hold it in your own hand. So before you go buy a gun, make sure you have the chance to at least hold it at a minimum, but even better if you can go shoot it yourself and see how it feels when you shoot it. My hands are not very large. From my thumb to the end of my ring finger is about 5 inches, and to the end of my trigger finger is about 4¼ inches. And the width of my last 3 fingers is right at 2 inches. So the grip on the Glock 19 is about 2¼ inches long and about 5¾ inches around at its widest point. It actually fits me perfectly. There's plenty of room. I'm able to get all of my fingers on the grip, and so there's not any pinching that happens whenever I shoot. The Glock 19 actually comes with 2 additional back straps, so you can just switch these out and make sure that it fits your hand very comfortably. It is a little bit too big for me, but I actually like the way it feels because I feel like I have really good control over it. Whereas sometimes with smaller guns, I feel like for whatever reason, it just isn't sturdy enough for me.
As far as how the G19 fits me, I would definitely agree with Adrian that the size of the grip fits very well into my hand, and I can even slide a magazine in and out without getting any kind of pinching going on down here at the bottom. So I really like the way it fits me.
Now, another thing about fit that I am not as much a fan of is you can see there's a minimally curved surface on the back here. If you watched the Taurus GX4 video, you saw that there is definitely more of a curve, and I really like that because I feel like my hand fits very comfortably that way. So I do wish this grip was a little bit more curved. Another aspect of fit is how easy is it to reach the trigger. That's actually a really good distance for me. I definitely feel like I'm able to get a good grip and also reach the trigger without any problems.
Same for me. Super easy to reach the trigger based on that grip.
Also, I feel like reaching the slide release is pretty easy. Now, another downside, I do feel like it is difficult for me to reach the mag release. Also because it seems like you have to hit the front of the mag release for it to drop. So where I'm holding the gun and then just trying to reach, it doesn't actually work for me. I have to move my hand and adjust it to be able to release the mag.
I would have to agree with Adrian on that one. Maybe I've got small little thumbs, but I definitely have to slide my hand around to hit the mag release.
So overall, in terms of fit, for me, it is a little bit too big. There's a couple of things that make it not fit perfectly, but I do like the way it feels to hold the gun.
The only thing that I would bring the score down just a little bit for is the mag release.
So for the Glock 19, we're going to give fit a 4.7 out of 5. Now is the Glock 19 as advertised. So Robbie's going to be here with me on this one also because there's one aspect that we both have a similar opinion about, but I want you to hear what he thinks. One of the main things Glock advertises about the 19 is that it is one of the most versatile handguns in their array because of its size. And it weighs right at 1.6 pounds unloaded. And Glock would say that that compact size definitely makes it an option for concealed carry. Now, in doing our research, we actually found there are a lot of people who do use the Glock 19 as their everyday carry weapon. Personally, there are a lot of smaller ones out there, and so I wouldn't want to carry this every day because of its size.
I would definitely agree with that. If I was doing outside the waistband carry, I wouldn't mind at all carrying this gun because of how good it shoots. But as far as inside the waistband carry, I would definitely rather have something just a little bit smaller.
Another aspect of the Glock 19 that does make it more versatile, as well as why people like to carry it, because of its size, it does have a reduced amount of recoil. So it's easy to get it ready, get on target, take a shot. You're going to be able to get that second shot and get back on target a lot more quickly. So overall, I think we're going to say the Glock 19 does almost everything that they say, and mainly just because of our personal preference that we wouldn't necessarily want to carry this every day. We're going to take just a little bit off. Otherwise, it's great and does what Glock says it should. So because of that, we're going to give As Advertised a 4.8 out of 5. Now onto construction and durability. One thing you'll see that's different in this Gen 5 Glock 19 as compared to older versions is that there are not finger grooves on the front of the grip. Personally, I do prefer it this way because my fingers don't always fit in the grooves. You can put them where they fit comfortably and still have a good hold on the gun. And speaking of the grip texture, a lot of other guns have this almost like sandpaper feeling. This gun does have that texture that helps you have a better grip, but it's not so much that it's uncomfortable or painful. So the Glock 19 has a trigger safety, which I do like and is nice. The thing I don't like about it is I feel like it's too narrow. So you have to make sure you have your finger in kind of the right spot before it fires. And also I feel like, and I know this is probably silly, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. Now as far as the trigger, we measured it right at 6 pounds, which for this gun actually is a very smooth, easy amount of trigger pull and makes it very comfortable to shoot. Another nice feature, the Glock 19 Gen 5 does come with a rail on the front, so if you want to mount a laser or a light, you can easily do that. Also comes with 3 15-round magazines, which is nice. The standard sights on the Glock 19 actually makes it pretty easy to line up. Now you can see that we put a red dot on this one, but if I was going to use the standard sights, having a little bit of glow would be nice. Speaking of the red dot, the biggest difference between the Gen 5 MOS and the regular is the MOS, which stands for Modular Optic System. This comes with several different plates that you can switch out, making it really easy to fit a whole lot of different red dots on this handgun. Now, if you don't have an MOS version, we recently did a review of the Leupold Delta Point Micro on a Smith & Wesson, but they also make one for Glock. We decided to mount the Leupold Delta Point Pro just to kind of see how it would fit. Very easy to mount, and then also had a really easy time getting this particular red dot zeroed in. As is typically the case with me, I feel a lot more confident, a lot more accurate with a red dot, so being able to choose different ones and try them out on your handgun was definitely a plus in my book. As far as durability, the Glock 19 is coated with the Glock NDLC coating, which is what they use to resist rust. Now, as usual, we like to take care of our things, so we haven't just left this sitting out in the rain to see how bad it could get. But for how we've used it, it's held up great, no problems. We also have intentionally not cleaned this gun, and we have not had any issues with rounds not feeding, not ejecting. So overall, we've been really pleased with the construction and the durability of the Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS. So because of that, we're going to give it a 5 out of 5. Now on to testimonials and reviews. I found several hundred reviews of the Glock 19, and most of them were 5 out of 5s with incredibly high praise. But you know what I want to do? I want to tell you the complaints that people did have. One complaint that I saw a few times was that because it is a newer gun, there aren't as many aftermarket parts. Now, I haven't gone around looking for aftermarket parts just yet, but it's such a popular gun, I can't imagine that even now there are more parts being made all the time. Another complaint somebody had was that they didn't like the fact that the magazine doesn't fit completely flush. I guess that's personal preference. And another complaint I saw a couple of times was people saying that the trigger bar was rubbing on the frame. One sign of how they knew that was it was making like a grinding sound. I haven't heard that in our gun, so I'm gonna just assume that ours isn't doing that. So you know what we do? I'm gonna tell you the score that we found. So for testimonials and reviews, the Glock 19 gets a 4.9 out of 5. And finally, should you buy this thing? I'm sure that you guys are getting super tired of hearing us say this, but it really depends on what you're looking for. First thing I would say is that before you go and buy one, you definitely need to shoot it yourself. Retail on the Glock 19 is right at $600, and this MOS version is about $730. So how am I gonna score should you buy this thing? For me personally, if I'm looking for a concealed carry weapon, this one is just a little bit too big for my liking, so I'm gonna look for something a little bit smaller. But this may be exactly what you're looking for. Now, if you're just looking for a handgun to take to the range, to shoot, to learn your technique and perfect it, then the Glock 19 could be exactly what you're looking for. Because of that, I'm gonna give, should you buy this thing, a 4.85 out of 5. Hey, thanks for watching our Glock 19 review video. While you're here, watch a whole bunch of other videos. If you like them, give them a thumbs up. If you really like them and you haven't, take a second to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Also, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Check out our website, reviewthisthingtv.com. And you can also listen to our podcast on most of your favorite podcast platforms.